And welcome back.
How are we getting on, lads? So today we're joined by a very special guest. How about you introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Jonesy. I'm an American. I'm a comedian and a podcaster. I'm the host of the Weird AF News podcast. I actually do have some loyal listeners in Ireland because thankfully my podcast is in English and it can be enjoyed over there. And I take the piss out of myself on there a little bit. And I know that, the Irish just love that. When people take the piss out of themselves, and I think that's why they're drawn to my show. Because as an American, I take the piss out of myself almost as good as an Irishman, I think.
I think you're pretty close.
Thank you. It means so. Thank you, Gerard. It means so much coming from you. I mean, that's a big time compliment. I know you discovered me on, what was it, YouTube? You saw my show on
Yes, sir.
YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, which most of the time my show is not discovered on YouTube. What made you, how did you find it on YouTube? I don't have hardly any listens on there. I have hardly any followers on there. Most people find it through iTunes or Google Podcasts or something.
Well, I spend a lot of time on YouTube. I watch a lot of podcasts like Hot Box with Mike Tyson, Joe Rogan Experience, so on. But sometimes I like to see small stuff.
In other words,
I
was going to say, in other words, you smoke a lot of dope. Is that what you do?
No, sir.
No. Okay. No, of course you guys don't do that over there in Ireland. None of that's going on, I'm sure.
A lot of pint drinking, that's about it.
Look at man,
But,
when you live among the castles, you got to smoke weed. I mean, if I lived among a bunch of castles, I'd be smoking weed all the time. I'd be living in a fairy tale existence.
You know what the Irish castles look like? They're not somewhere you want to be.
Yeah, they're old.
Are they lame? What's wrong with them?
They're stone and broken down.
Yeah, they all got broken down like the last time the English invaded. That was rough.
Yeah, but you know what I would do as a child? I'd go to places like that. I'd ride my bike with my friends. We'd get like a 30-pack of Pabst Blue Ribbon, and we would drink inside old demolished buildings. I'd be drinking inside castles every day in Ireland is what I'd be doing as a kid. Did you do any of that?
No, very little. I think you got the wrong idea where we're from. Yeah, there's a beautiful part of Ireland. There's one city worth mentioning, and in between that, in the middle of nowhere, called the Bog, is where we live. It's
The Bog.
Yeah.
Oh, you live with the swamp people? Is that what you're
We
telling
live with
me?
the swamp people, basically. You nailed it on the head.
You guys are like you're like the Florida of Ireland.
Worse.
That was a pretty nice
That's something I
compliment.
love
Thanks for
about
that.
America. Because we get basically all of the news. Like, we're probably as involved in your election as you are. No one here could vote, but we all have such strong opinions about it. But one thing I love about the States is Florida man. That kind of meme, you see like Florida man does blank. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to come out of there.
So for your listeners who may not know what he's referring to is, we got this meme in the United States. It comes out of the state of Florida. There's so much damn crime coming out of this state. The headlines are always like, Florida man, has sex with a dog in front of the police station or something. It's always, and it's like Florida man,
He's not even off. He's actually 100% right.
They're actually crazy.
Bad.
Yeah, they're crazier than that. Some of them. I mean, it's outrageous. Florida man castrates another man in a hostel. Like this kind of stuff. Just
before
so it's
we
always
move on,
Florida man does this.
I would love
and
to.
there's so many of these headlines. Do you have the equivalent of this Florida man in Ireland?
No.
I would love to look up.
We have a tiny population, so everyone knows everyone's business. There's no like major crime. But,
right, and there's no section that's just filled with just so much degeneracy that you're like, oh, people from that place, they do that. They're a bunch of criminals,
I wanted to look up what. This is my birthday now coming up.
Oh yeah, type in your birthday. That's right, Florida man and your date. This is a fun game that we play.
It's a game.
Stab beats with stick. Wait. So Florida man beats man with stick for not giving him beer.
Hey, in his defense,
This is the one, yes. I've heard about this one before, the stuffed Olaf doll.
Oh, man. Yeah, I remember that one. Didn't that happen inside a Walmart? I'm not
think
sure.
so. I
I think it
believe
did.
Target
I remember
Target
that one
store.
too. Look at that. Florida man dry humps the stuffed olives. I mean, that's just so funny. This stuff. Wow, you got a good one. Your
What kind
birthday's
of
good.
world do we live in? Genuinely, lads. What kind of world is this? It's
I
a
mean,
crazy one.
it's a world that can make you feel good about yourself if you only have a DUI. You're like, hey, if all I got is a DUI, if I
What the
just
hell
have
is a
a drinking,
DUI?
if I get that's driving under the influence. That's what we have in the States. So if you get pulled over for drunk
Mm.
driving, it's called a DUI. If all you have is a drunk driving charge, you can feel pretty good about yourself these days, right? You're like, at least I'm not a Florida man. You wouldn't even make that. You don't even make the news for a drunk driving stint in Florida. You got to do something else. It's got to be like you got to drive drunk while, I don't know, dressed as Big Bird and with your fist in somebody's behind in in the passenger seat on meth. This kind of crazy shit. This is
Yeah.
like, that's how you make the headlines there. Yeah, I
Jonesy, I would
mean,
love to know what is your birthday so I may look up
oh,
your Florida
it's
man.
April 27th. More power to the people. We just might see a sequel. Let's see what we have here. I can't remember what mine is.
Arrested after witness said he practiced karate on
Oh.
swans.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Okay. Unbelievable.
And finally, Jared.
Tongue-wearing Florida man arrested while building shed with blank. It's 28th June.
June
I had to think about that one. That's bad, isn't it?
28th. Ah,
I think you're getting old, buddy.
you're getting to that
Yeah.
age, Jared.
Yeah.
Florida man in jail after not playing taxi that picked him up. Boring. This is so boring.
This is boring.
You lose, Jared.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I
lost.
lose this game. That's okay. But back to you, sir. You do a lot of stuff. You have an acting career. You've done 18 things as an actor, and you're also a comedian. So when people ask, "Hey, Jonesy, what do you do?" What do you normally say?
Well, lately I've been saying I'm a podcaster, but prior to that, I would say that I'm a comedian, more so than anything else. Just because I do more of. I was doing more of that than anything else. Doing comedy was almost a nightly thing for me for many, many years. Whereas, you're lucky if you get a handful of cool acting jobs a year. So I think by far, comedian is what I would identify with mostly.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of cooler to say you're a comedian. The only problem with that is you tell people you're a comedian, they're like, hey, make me laugh right now. Whereas if I tell someone that I'm an actor, they just usually stop right there.
Act right now. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh.
I love telling people that I'm a podcaster because they'll be like, oh, can I hear your podcast? And I'm very proud to whip out Weird AF News because all it takes is a couple headlines to be hooked on that, and so that works out. But yeah, I'm a little tired of that. Hey, tell me a joke. It's like, what? I mean, what do you do that to? Hey, you're a carpenter. Hey, build me a birdhouse. Like, who does this? It just gets annoying after a while. But yeah, I have identified more as a comedian. I've spent more time doing that than anything else, and more time trying to figure out how to do that than anything else, probably in my life.
Yeah. If you're a fan of Ro Jogan, he likes to say that comedy is under fire at the moment. What do you think about that?
Well, I would agree with him. I would say it's kind of like all the arts are in a bit of trouble, which is unfortunate. It seems like the arts are being stifled a bit, and the voices aren't being aren't allowed to be heard because of it. And I think that's terrible because one of the only things that we have at our disposal as a culture is art. I mean, meaning the people. They like to let us have the illusion that we have all these political choices, but at the end of the day, you get the choice between one rich lying bastard and another rich lying bastard, neither of which share any of the same values as you and I, neither of which are really interested in helping the common man, if we're being honest. And so we're very limited as citizens. What can you do in the culture? How do you create change in the culture? Well, I can't do it politically. I can't do it. I don't have enough money to do it. Well, we've always had art at our disposal. And no matter what socioeconomic background you have, you always had art at your disposal. And art is can be a powerful creator of cultural change. It can create movements. Now, when you start limiting what's on the menu for art, you know, what you can say artistic wise, specifically in my profession, a lot of comedians are now being told that they can or cannot make jokes about X, Y, and Z. You're really putting handcuffs on a culture, and you're limiting it. And it's I think that's a major problem that we're facing, not just in the U.S. I mean, talking to you briefly before we began, it turns out, you know, you're experiencing it in the UK as well.
Hold on now. Excuse me.
I'm sorry, in Ireland, you don't. Okay.
We're not from the UK. No, we're from the Republic of Ireland. Independence since 1922.
Well, I could probably then say just Europe in general is probably experiencing this, I'd imagine, right? Is this also happening all over Europe? I'd imagine it is.
Not as bad.
Not as bad as you think.
You
about
guys are
Probably
having.
Central Europe is pretty conservative. Southern Europe, pretty conservative. Maybe if you're going to like Western, like probably not including Spain. Maybe the UK and France. Maybe Germany.
Well, I mean, and what do you think of this?
Well, we talked to a lot of people in your industry, in LA, so on, and they're not happy with us. We just see like this affects you on a daily basis. This affects your income. I'm just sitting here talking. It doesn't really affect me, but some of this carry on that happens in Ireland is pretty unreal. Like some of our comedians have been under, like Des Bishop at the moment is under a lot of pressure for comments he made about the traveling community. Yeah, there's just, I don't know. Like, some things are justified, some things aren't. Thomas, what do you say?
You guys are all about, you know, your freedom of speech, right? But then you say you're not allowed to say this. It completely tears down that.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to say what I want, but you are not allowed to say this. And even if you disagree with it, you have to acknowledge, like you have to acknowledge it. It's put there, you know. Yeah.
But you guys are protected to say whatever, or like to have free speech and all that. We're not kind of the same. Like, I talk a lot about how you guys have such an unrealistic amount of freedom compared to the rest of the world, and so many people are so happy to give it up, for no reason. Again, going back to what you said, not being able to say this or that, or even with the COVID restrictions. I heard in California, you have to put your mask on in between bites of your food.
Oh, that's well, they suggest that you do that. Yeah, we're certainly in Southern California where I live. We're all wearing masks these days. Yeah, for the most part. At least in Los Angeles County where I live, yeah, masks is the way to go. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
I'm the same. It's just in between bites is what has me. Like, I got my mask right here. I'm going to college tomorrow. I have to wear my mask.
You actually go to the campus?
It's the only thing I think I can do. I go to the campus once a week. So does Thomas. You can't even go to anyone else's house. You can't visit anyone else. You're not allowed 5 kilometers away from your house unless it's for work or education purposes.
You can't see a friend at all?
Nope.
No, sir.
Oh, well, they haven't put that kind of restriction on us yet. Fortunately, that would be terrible.
No.
Yeah, it sounds like you got some strict protocol with the COVID, more so than we do. 5 kilometers, man, that's not very.
Yeah.
You better hope there's a grocery store within 5 kilometers of you.
You're allowed to go to the shop. They're not going to let you starve.
Yeah,
Especially if you're like me and live in the middle of nowhere. There's no shop 5 kilometers from me.
Okay.
So
Do they ever just pull you over and ask you where you're going? Do you get
Yeah.
that sort of interrogation?
The guards do that sometimes now, yeah.
Happened once, but a great thing to do. Wink. If you have a camera or any film gear, just bring that with you, because a videographer can go anywhere.
Oh,
So,
a videographer goes anywhere. Hey, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's a good plan.
There you go. But yeah, we have it. Like, it's funny. You guys got a lot more cases, but we have it a lot more strict. And you know, it's kind of sad how we have it here, to be honest.
Yeah, well, you see what happens when you're not strict. This is what you get. You get this kind of this caseload that we have here. It's a
Yeah.
result of that, I think.
Yeah.
But you're
People.
lucky that you guys have 2 million Americans, not dead.
Very
that's
true.
that's the whole argument, right?
Yeah. Right. Right.
It's so argument.
I
But
always find it weird when we have a subgroup of Americans that equivocate personal freedom with a mask.
we had the
They
same anti-mask protest happened yesterday.
Yeah, you have that too. And you know, it's like, look at if I know you want to have your little world there, but your world doesn't exist if the rest of the world doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get them to shift gears and see that. I don't blame them. Some people see more of the forest from the trees than others. It's just you're a product of your upbringing and your socialization and your early education and whether or not your parents are dum-dums or not. I don't want to blame these people so much. It's sad. But heaven forbid their ideology, just spreads more and more. I mean, I hate to see that. In other words, they have kids, right? So I'm a non-masker. That's my ideology. They got kids, right? And now they're going to spread their non-mask ideology onto the kids. That's a shame, because
Yeah.
the kids deserve a shot. It's like these people who are anti-vaxxers, same deal.
I bet they feel pretty stupid right now.
Absolutely, they feel stupid right now. Why should these people proliferate? Part of me says, "Hey, let them die off," and and it's like Darwinism wins in the end. But I hate to say that too. I don't want to be that negative of a person. I just hope they come around, and you hope that they listen to science. Or, how many people do have to die before you get it? Is no one in their circle dying? People in my circle are dying. My roommate alone lost her dad and her uncle within 6 weeks of each other this summer.
Damn.
This is like, if it's not
That's
affecting you, where are you living that it's not affecting you? I just want to know, what bubble are you in where this is not affecting you? And if it is, good for you, then don't wear a mask in your bubble. But don't tell the rest of us how to live and stand out there with a sign. That's wrong, because some of us are very affected by this.
Just in regards to that bubble, I think I'm in that bubble. I've had no one.
You've had no one. You've been very lucky, but yet you're still not an idiot though.
Well, no.
You know that lives are affected by it, right?
Yes, sir.
You know that.
Yes.
And I know a few people that have been affected.
We get those
by it.
videos of they tend to be called Karens, I guess, is the formal term that you get for them, of
The formal term.
of just them refusing to wear masks going into a shop.
Do you get these kind of women over there?
No,
Not
we
as
get
bad
more.
as you guys have it.
No, not as bad as you guys. Like, just
No.
in all fairness, it's more so lads. Like, I don't know. You guys have it rough. We have it less as bad as you guys. But with regards to people dying, I know people who've had it and they were okay. Like people who are, my friend's sister's a nurse and she got it, but she just stayed at home. She took care of herself. Because she knew what to do. She's been treating people for ages. She was able to take care of herself, thank God. But that's like the closest person to me who's got a scare. Don't know about Thomas. I know someone in his town got it, or his village.
Oh, yeah, I don't know much about it now, but this elderly woman, before COVID, she had broken her hip, and while in the hospital, she got it, but she managed to get out.
That's a strong lady.
So she's like 90 something as well. Like,
Yeah, strong lady.
That's incredible, right?
So we've been fortunate, but from what you were saying there a second ago, it sounds like you haven't been at all. What's the story there?
What's the story with what?
In California, in terms of cases.
So many. I mean, the state is just overrun with it, especially Southern California, because we're just so populated. It's just going to happen. It's going to happen. And, I took a job throughout this because, my comedy career had to come to a halt and whatnot, and my acting career as well. I'm not doing voiceovers right now. So A comedian friend of mine got me a gig at a COVID-19 laboratory, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, they make the test and they test. So they make the test kit and they test. We've tested like 3 million people in California, just my laboratory alone.
Wow.
And so I've been working there. I'm seeing firsthand like
Yeah.
Yeah.
how it's going down. You know, we've had positive cases, many at my laboratory. As a matter of fact, they test all the employees every single day. So I get tested. I go in 4 days a week. I get tested 4 times a week, and I've witnessed coworkers get it and miss
Yeah.
work for 2 weeks. They've had to quarantine, and so many people get it out here that it just seems like kind of the norm. It's like it's not a question of how or what. It's a matter of just when.
Yeah.
I expect to get it eventually myself. Probably not from the laboratory because everybody's pretty safe over there for the most part. They have to. We want to be safe. You know, we can't. The
Yeah, I get you.
scientists can't be getting sick and shit. So we're pretty careful over there. We all have the protocol. We all wear masks and we do it right at the lab. But I go out. You know, I go to the grocery store or I go to the coffee shop and there's people and I'm with them. I don't know who they are. I don't know what they got. And some of them are wearing masks. Some of them are not.
Mm.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think it matters if you're all inside a store together, bumping elbows, grabbing at the deli in line, getting your ground beef or whatever. I mean, I think it's just a matter of when I'm going to get this shit. And I think that's the kind of the attitude that I see among the people in Southern California. Is just like, yeah, we'll probably get it eventually.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
kind of a bad attitude.
I know it sucks. It really sucks.
That's a herd immunity attitude, isn't it? Like, it's kind of like everyone gets it,
Yeah.
and then
But you'd think with California, like, of all the world, they're the people who are pushing more restrictions. Everyone wear a mask. Blah blah blah. Like if I think of people like pushing this, that's what I think of. But ironically, they're doing worse. Do you think there's like a large majority or large amount of people in California who just don't want to abide by these rules at all, and that's causing it, or what do you think is going on?
Oh, sure. There are certain areas of California that are conservative. I'd say they lean towards the Trump. In fact, the county next to ours, it's called Orange County. So I'm in Los Angeles County.
Yeah.
The county just south of us, it's a kind of a beach community, and it's a wealthy white conservative community. They are very much doing whatever the hell they want. They're not really listening to the protocol. I watched a hilarious video of 2 comedians that went to Orange County to the beach with backpacks filled with masks and a big sign. The sign said free masks, and they were trying to give out free masks at the beach in Orange County. And, the video is just filled with instances of angry Orange County citizens just be like, get the hell out of here. I'm not wearing a mask. Why are you offering a mask? I can't even believe you believe in this mask. How dare you come down here with your Los Angeles mindset? It's a hoax. All these things you hear people going, it's a hoax and everybody knows it. Like, you're like, wow, okay, all right. And, so that's one whole community that's just very much, we don't believe in this. We're not wearing masks.
I get you.
And I think it's attitudes like that really add, fuel to the fire here and really pump up the numbers.
You're definitely right. But why were they offering them outdoors?
Oh, it's just because there's no, I mean,
like that's me at least at risk.
Yeah, well, I guess they're just asking who needs a mask today. Anyway, we got them free ones, and it's just easier to shoot it that way. If you're gonna shoot video of it, they were shooting because you want to kind of shoot it undercover, so you can't have your cameraman so the guy would be far away and shoot this long lens and shoot them talking to the people on the beach. Hey, want a mask? And these people don't even know they're being filmed. They're giving an honest response, like, like, I don't believe in masks and go back to LA. And then, that's the kind of reactions we were getting, which
I've
is
seen the video.
so dumb.
It's great. I saw one as
it's
well.
very funny, right? It's one guy or maybe it's even more than one guy actually tries to fight them, like really angry. They get
That's
very
so bad.
angry.
I've seen one
I mean-
now. These two guys, they were spray painting sidewalk, as in like people walk this side of the road if you're going that way, and others walk this side of the road if you're going that way, and that way you won't be bumping into people. Something like that. I don't know what it was, but they had this woman come over and just kick the shit. Started kicking the two of them, and like
Yeah, but man, if people are telling you what side of the street to walk on, that's a bit dodgy, to be fair. Like, I'll wear a mask for public safety, but hey, you have to walk on this side of the road, bruh.
Yeah,
I mean, okay, sure, but
yeah, that's crossing
outdoors,
the line for
like
sure.
if you're in a shopping center, I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah,
But outdoors, what the hell? Like, come on.
totally agree.
Like, come on. We know we got to get through this. But spray painting the sidewalk isn't the best way. In all fairness. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like some people are super into it and they want to add more and more, like things we have to do. But then there's the opposite of people like, I don't give a fuck. I met people that got sick, and we had an instance in Thomas's village actually, that a group won the county final, in their sport, whatever. And what they did was they went to the pub. I think it was it was supposed to be closed. Am I right, Thomas?
I don't know. No, the pubs were allowed to be open then, yeah.
And they filled it to the brim, and they basically had a rave in there. And 2 people in there had COVID when they went in. Don't know how many had it when they came out, but it was absolute carnage. Videos were going everywhere of what happened in there. Just crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whole village became like a party town for an entire night, and it was crazy.
And tens of people probably caught it from that, you would say? Did you have numbers like that, or hundreds of people? Or
I couldn't tell you.
We don't like name and shame, so you wouldn't really have any way of finding out unless someone told you.
Yes,
and most people, to be honest, if I was dumb enough to have been in there and I caught COVID afterwards, I wouldn't tell a fucking soul. I would just isolate, get everything sorted. I'm not going to be like telling my friends, hey lads, I was at this gathering that I shouldn't have been at, and I got COVID now, and I might have infected more people. Like, way to ruin yourself, like.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's just silly.
Yeah, but I don't know how we got here, lads. But back to what you were saying earlier with there's some instances in your sector as a comedian that on some topics you can't talk about. And what do you think that is? What do you think like there's a sudden like rule set that's been put in place of what you can and cannot talk about?
Well, I think there's a movement here to save people's feelings because what we're really doing is infantilizing the culture. We're just treating everybody like children. We're not forcing people to grow the hell up. You could see it happen in a lot of ways in the culture. For instance,
university. We're seeing it firsthand here.
Sure. Here's a simple thing that people can relate to too. I don't know if you have this, but we have a seatbelt law here in the United States. It's very common. Wear your seatbelt. That's treating the culture like children. To make it a law to wear your seatbelt. So there's instances of that. There's many instances of this. If I buy a swimming pool for children, one of those small ones, in the middle of it, it'll say no diving. Well, what are we talking about here, right? This is infantilizing us, treating us all like we're brainless children. And I think this also seeps into a sort of a speech way, and that is be careful of your speech because you're going to hurt people's feelings, and we all can't deal with hurt feelings. You don't want to do that. Meanwhile, the ground underneath our feet is toxifying every fucking day, but like this isn't a concern, right? It's like fresh water is disappearing. Have you fucking looked around and you're worried about some words being spoken by a comic or somebody, a great example of this. It's like the product Aunt Jemima
Yeah, I've heard about this. Yes.
Maple syrup. We got this product in the States, Aunt Jemima's maple syrup. This product had to be taken off the shelves because this Aunt Jemima character on the maple syrup bottle is offensive because she represents a time when African American people were very much without freedom. I get that. And so now it hurts people's feelings, some people's feelings, that I guess when you see her in the grocery store, this person. Meanwhile, I don't know anybody, even my African American friends, who see the Aunt Jemima thing and are offended by it. But then again, I've never been with my African American friends in the maple syrup aisle, so I don't know. But it just seems to me like here's a product that the image of it hurts our feelings. Well, the actual product itself has been killing us for decades and no one gives a shit. I don't even know what that is, but it's not maple syrup. It's a bunch of high fructose corn syrup bullshit that is actually poison at the end of the day. And none of us should be putting it in our bodies. The product itself is a piece of shit poison, and it's offensive. It's actually more fucking offensive than the image of this woman on there, which a lot of people never even noticed until you pointed it out to us, assholes. Meanwhile, this product isn't even maple syrup. What the fuck are you doing? It shouldn't even be able to be called maple syrup. It should never be put on a flapjack or a pancake. It's insulting to my fucking breakfast. Okay. And it's caused so much diabetes, I'd imagine, that, this thing should have been gone decades ago. But no one cares about that. We wait for our feelings to be hurt, as if our feelings trump all the other shit, including our body. I mean, this is just sociopathic fucking behavior. It's a sign of an immature culture, and it's a real barrier to getting our shit together, unfortunately.
So I'm never going to bring up maple syrup to you ever again.
I'm really glad we all know your views on maple syrup, bro.
No, I get you completely. There's some things that shouldn't be made into a big deal like this.
Well, like even what was it? That show with the dog police that had to be cancelled for a little bit.
Oh yeah, because people were so against the police force that a show with a dog being a police officer was inherently evil. Shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up.
Again, this is like, they treat you, it's like at the end of the day, we're being treated like infants here, and we're never going to grow the hell up with this kind of helicopter parenting from the culture. It's like, there's something to be said about making your own decisions in life. There's something to be said about using your brain and saying, well, let me make the choice to wear my seatbelt. Let me weigh the pros and cons, and let me be an adult and make that decision for me. But if you're going to make the decision for me, now I don't have to be the adult. When am I going to grow the fuck up? I'm not going to grow up. If you're always looking out for people's feelings, you're creating like a culture of, a bunch of, these are crybabies, man. These are people that cannot deal. Then we wonder why depression is running rampant. We wonder why people cannot handle daily life. You know why? Because daily life is fucking offensive. I mean, I hate to be the one to break the news to everybody, but life doesn't hold your hand and look out for your feelings. It just doesn't. Life is ready to kick you in the junk and then kick you again while you're down. This is what life does to a lot of us, AKA 2020. Did all of this, hurt, watch out for our feelings the last 10 years? Did this prepare us for this? No, it did not, because you cannot prepare yourself for the real disaster that is called life, man. It's fucking life. And if anybody knows it more than anybody, it's the fucking Irish, and you guys, and that's why the sense of humor that you guys have, it comes out of suffering. It comes out of hundreds of years of a culture being oppressed and suffering. And the proper response to that is comedy. The proper response to that is have a beer and hug your fucking neighbor. The proper response to that is don't lie to each other and pretend that everything is really rosy. No, the response is, yes, it's shitty, but isn't it funny sometimes? Ha ha, have a beer. Be an adult.
Yeah. That's one thing, and it does scare me that that magical thing about the Irish that we can handle everything is kind of gone away. And we are
I'm
so
sad to hear that.
Americanized. Like,
Yeah.
no offense. We're so
No,
Americanized.
none taken.
Our news, everything we have is Americanized. If something bad is happening about Trump, there's 20 people I know who are going to make it their fucking business to tweet about it for the next 24, 48 hours. Like, okay, Trump has never affected anything you really do ever. Okay, you typing on your little phone on Twitter about him being a bad guy isn't changing anything.
Yeah.
I hate it. And it's rough. There's people giving out about your what was it, your debate when it happened. I people I went to school with giving out about that. It's like, okay,
There's another one this evening. Apparently, I don't know if I'll.
Oh,
I
I'm
mean,
aware of
God.
that, yeah.
I
I
mean,
don't
it's.
know
I want to say that I'm not going to watch it, but I mean, it's so hard to turn away from that kind of train wreck. Apparently, they're going to give the moderator a mute button tonight
Seen
so
that.
that they can't interrupt one another. I don't know how that's going to work. I'm curious. I'd
Didn't
imagine
that
we're going to hear
last-
just some Trump shouting over, the mute
Yeah.
button anyway.
Most
I mean,
likely.
this guy can't. This guy's a child himself. He's a spoiled little brat. He's going to yell and do whatever the hell he wants.
One thing that had me a bit worried about the last one, and I hate the fact I fucking know it as a result of Americanized media, was that moderator used to work for Joe Biden. That guy
is that
was
so?
an intern for
Oh,
Joe
really?
Biden.
I didn't know that. I didn't
Like-
know that.
Talk about bias.
Yeah, that's pretty biased.
You know, like send you in there, send a comedian in there. He'll pick the funniest bits and let them talk.
Yeah, I mean, that guy clearly wasn't prepared for that. He shouldn't have been moderating that. I mean, we
No.
could all see where that was going to
No one
go.
could
And
be.
you
felt bad for
needed
the guy.
Yeah, you needed somebody who was a strong-armed individual to really run that because you're dealing with a child there who's just going to throw a tantrum and not listen to rules. Rules don't apply to this guy. Fuck no. Rules. What are you, crazy?
That's one thing that people say a lot about him, is like things that aren't actually rules, like for being presidency, like things that no one ever like tried to mess with. That's something he did. Like, what was it? We talked about this in media studies earlier, Thomas, during the week. There's something you couldn't hold a conference in the White House or something, and then he did it.
That's right. I
It was
remember
like,
that.
it's not actually a rule, so he
Yeah,
just
I didn't
did
even
it.
know about that. I had never heard of that before. But then I guess he broke that. I didn't even know what the hell that was. But I mean, he doesn't. I mean, I'm not surprised. This guy doesn't listen to, nothing applies to him. He's been doing that his whole life. I'll bet.
And I heard something about. So I had no knowledge of whatever happened between Russia and America during the last election or anything like that. But something about Chinese accounts came up today about him. Well, no idea what that's about at all.
Well,
but
if you look at Biden's kid, it looks to be like Ukrainian stuff. You look at Trump, it looks to be Chinese. He hates Chinese people, and then he's like going on, or he has a Chinese hidden bank account. Like, bruh, this man. But with the other kids, what happened to the young presidents? What happened to like the JFKs besides being shot? Like, why are they old guys now?
My only guess is, I guess it takes that long to build the kind of relationships and influence that you need to get into that position. Because the minimum age is what? The minimum age, I think, is 35. 35.
Yeah, same here.
But you just don't see anybody ever in their 30s even sniffing that position, which is a shame.
That age limit makes people not want to go into politics.
Yeah,
I'd imagine it does.
Same
yeah,
here.
I'd imagine. I hate that it's a bunch of old dudes that run the show for the most part everywhere. I mean, you find this all over the world. A bunch of old dudes, and I just can't stand it. And it's been like this for
Ever.
Probably thousands of years, unfortunately. And maybe not. Well, at one point in the world, the life expectancy was a lot shorter, so the old dudes were like 30. But it was always, relatively speaking, old dudes running the show, and I just think that's just it's not cutting it, man. It's just, you see where we are. It's not cutting it, clearly.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see a change from that, but it's always old dudes. I don't want to vote for old dudes. I don't want an old guy. I'm not, Biden scares me just because he's so old. I don't think if his brain's working okay. It looks like he's
2 brain
always
surgeries.
fumbling. He's always looks like he's got a hamster in a wheel in there, and it's taking a minute to just get it going. I'm like, wow, dude, I'll take it over Trump, of course, but then again, I'd take a dead pigeon over Trump. Fuck.
What was that thing? Was it SNL that did this thing, and it was Jim Carrey played Biden?
Oh,
Yeah,
Jim Carrey
British.
played Biden. Yeah.
At the beginning of 40 great ideas.
Yeah,
I
Jim
love
Carrey
it.
just crushed that. Yeah, you
Yeah.
see, this is, it's this old guy situation that you mentioned. I mean, I just really, I'd love to see a change in that. I'd love to see some younger people that are more close, that have similar values and outlook that we have. That would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But like, no one wants to vote for a normal person. Like, I know as a joke, what's going on at the moment is Joe Rogan and Cameron Hayes, or Cameron Hayes, whatever. I've seen it as a joke because they do a lot of hunting and whatever. They're kind of like central conservative. But you need people, not exactly Joe Rogan. You need the people who are just the average Joe Schmo to go first, and hopefully they have the right values and they can convince people.
Yeah.
They're not a bad idea.
Yeah, I once heard somebody float the idea that why not, this would only work if you had a very educated population, which we don't in these states, unfortunately. But if you did, you could choose a leader randomly, or a set of leaders randomly, and then just run it that way. And if you have an educated population and everybody's like on board, you could get away with it that way. And then at that point, you'd have no corruption. How would you have any corruption? And then you can get rid of like lobbyists and all this stuff, and you'd have a more level playing field. But that's a crazy idea, but it's something that I heard someone say, and I thought, I don't know, I would even try that over what we got now, which, as long as you could see miles away who's going to be, you could see these people getting into power, and who to, I don't want to say bribe, but I mean, technically they are really, you bribe these motherfuckers, man. We know who's pulling the strings. Every one of these people, these old guys that we see, behind them is a crew of other old guys that are just shuffling cash and going, hey, remember me? Don't forget my favor. Hey, remember me? Don't forget my favor. I represent the microchip industry. I represent milk, and next thing you know, I'm like, why is milk being pushed all over the place? Why is it one of the 4 food groups officially? Well, that's because some politician got paid to create a organization called the 4 food groups, and then took some more money so that all these food groups could be included. Next thing you know, my children go to school and they're taught the 4 food groups, which is a bunch of poison. This is this is how the current setup allows for those situations to happen.
You know what sucks? Like shit like that, it still ends up here.
Yeah.
Like, basically, a lot of what goes on here is, oh, America did that. What's the harm? And we'll do it.
I hate to hear that. I really hate to hear that.
Thomas, how many pay raises have our TDs given themselves recently? I know there's one guy in there. He was in there a year and a half, and he was offered 3 pay raises.
That's a lot.
I would believe they've been in there. So the current government have been in there for 6 months now, and I believe they have been given 4 or 5 pay raises, and they tried to battle that by a 10% cut. But then, like 2 or 3 weeks later, there were 3 after that. Like it's
how much
serving idiots.
And how often are they?
Anything?
How often are they golfing? Are they golfing as much as our leader as well?
I served our former Taoiseach a coffee when I was working in a golf pub.
Yeah.
Wasn't there something recently like they got caught at like a golf place?
Oh my god, the whole golf event. Yeah, loads of them were caught.
What do people call it? They call it Golfgate?
Golfgate, yeah.
Yeah, they got caught playing golf
50,
when they told the entire
60
country they couldn't leave their homes. Yeah.
Oh, that's so American. Shit.
I told you. No, actually, I love America. You guys have so much freedom depending on the state. And you can kind of find a state that suits you. In Europe, it's not as easy. We are the European Union. We can pick, like, if I wanted to go to Italy and set up shop and live there right now, I could. But,
that's cool.
I have to know Italian, probably.
Yeah. I think the key lies in there, right? The key lies in localized communities, finding support in local communities, finding that way, if you can avoid relying on a shitty ass government for your stuff, then it's better for you. Nothing ever gets done anyways with the amount of bureaucratic bullshit that they have in place, so that's why, just you got one group, one house, has this ideology, another house has this ideology, and then they just argue so that this person's agenda never gets pushed through, this person's agenda never gets pushed through, and then nothing ever gets done. But on a local level, if a new school needs to be built in your local area, like, you have a better shot doing it on the local level than going to the state level and hoping that they can get some funding, or going to the federal level, right? It just, local government is a way to, and of course it's corrupt as well, of course, because it's government. At the end of the day, it's going to be corrupt on some level, but you can get a lot more done in your little community at the end of the day, and you can feel like your voice is being heard too. You can actually go to the meeting and stand up and speak for 3 minutes. Like, you can't do that, like, on the federal level, the national level. Yeah, go to a Trump's speech or whatever, and good luck having your opinion heard. No one's listening to you. But on the local level, you can have some input, and you can kind of feel like you're moving the needle a little bit. I think, I wish there wasn't corruption on the local level too. There is going to be. That's just the nature of the beast. But I think one of the answers for a lot of us is to do things on the local level. At least you can kind of move the needle a bit and feel like you're making some progress, and feeling a sense of community is very important, because I think we've lost that. You call me an American, right? What does that even mean? Do I even feel like an American? I feel like a displaced individual I feel like my leaders don't represent me, and that just makes me feel weird.
Yeah, being an American must be weird.
It's very weird.
I got thousands of years of culture to help me define being Irish. I got shared experiences with other Irish people. You guys are just like, okay, we all moved here a long, long time ago. We did some bad things to the locals, and now we're here.
Yeah.
Must be kind of rough.
Yeah, and who were the people that came here originally? They were freaks, man. They were religious freaks. They were people leaving Europe because they were too religious, really. And that's why we got the Quakers and the Puritans, because they were so religious.
Loads of land.
They come here and with their, hey, there's a place where freedom of religion. And they were like, I'm on it, because over here, no one gets me. So then they come over here with their ridiculous fundamentalist religious bullshit, and we're off to the races. And, and then you get literalism, biblical literalism. That's a purely American phenomenon. Nobody in Europe takes the Bible literally, or has the way that these idiots did over here.
It's always been adopted.
There's so many instances of these, and it's all because of these freaks that came over here. My country was built on the foundation of religious freaks, and they're still kicking around, man. They're kicking around. There's Mormons all over Utah. There's all kinds of cults, in the States. All of the Midwest, these fundamental Christian Yahoo morons are still like, that is such a huge community. And it's like, this is a barrier to progress. These people don't even think that.
Back there real quick.
These people don't even believe. Texas just has now denied or given the option to social workers. If you're a social worker in Texas, you are allowed to deny services to people who have a disability or part of the LGBTQ community. This is these are the attitudes you get from these fundamentalist religious fucktards.
I don't think the problem lies within religion, like, being honest. Like, at least with Protestantism, it was more reformed. Like, myself and Thomas are Catholics. Like, we have, like, the unreformed one. We're going back to, like, Roman times. And, like, we're pretty okay. Like, we don't get the kind of stuff that goes on there. Like you were saying, like, big communities of fundamentalist Mormons, whatever. if they're doing no harm to anyone else, I think they're okay. You have the right to practice whatever religion, Islam, Judaism, even Shinto,
Yeah, but the
Catholicism,
problem is,
Christianity.
there's a rule, right? We're supposed to separate church from state. This is what we say, but this is not what we practice.
Yeah,
The,
I
the,
get that.
the religious organizations in my country have so much political sway. It's ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. That policy in Texas that I'm talking about, that governor of Texas is a part of that, is a part of the problem.
Well,
And,
is he
and
like a
it shouldn't
big
be the
religious guy?
case. Yes, of course. I mean,
Mm.
this is Texas, man. Not most of Texas is like that. There's some cool areas of Texas: Houston, Austin, Dallas. The rest of Texas, which is huge, fucking huge. The rest of Texas is like, a bunch of gun-toting fundamentalist yahoos, man.
You think?
100%, 100%.
Okay. I mean, I'm not too well versed with Texas, but I know. I don't know much I can say there. We talk to some people living in Texas. They think it's okay.
Mm.
We had a guy.
Yeah, they're probably cool people. They probably live in Austin or San Antonio or Houston.
Yeah, no many cities.
Yeah, those cities are great, man. And there's this, Austin especially. It's a very progressive city. It's an artist community. Same with Houston.
Just real quick with the Mormons. We had a guy on recently. You might know him, Steve Cantwell.
Steve
and-
Cantwell. No, it doesn't sound familiar. He's Mormon?
No, he was Mormon.
Ex-Mormon.
Was Mormon.
Ex-Mormon. 40 years of being a Mormon. He had a friend, but he was like lenient on the rules a little bit. Like he'd never taken any substance, never even a painkiller. He had a friend in was it the Army or the Navy?
I was one of them.
And well, big difference. But he had a friend in there. He just came back from Iraq, and they were gonna try weed together. He's a Mormon. He never had weed, but he said, "Okay, well, it's for a friend. I'm sure God can forgive me this once." And because I haven't, but he had to go get it because the friend wasn't home yet. So now he has no experience with weed ever. He never even reads or hears anything about this, being a Mormon. But he goes to a local place to get it. At the time, spice was like completely legal. That's what he went to get. He went to get spice. So now he actually didn't know what he was actually asking for. So he went in and said, "Spit, spit," and the lady behind the counter says, "Salvia." And
Oh, man. Salvia they gave him.
he gets salvia.
He smoked that? Oh, that's a crazy trip.
He took a very big hit of salvia.
Yeah. And being a Mormon, he never touched anything else. So I guess like a build-up of all these things they wanted to get released happened. And he had a lot of inner conflict with regards to his religion. But after that trip, he says, in his words, he spent 8 years in another man's life in that trip. And then he went in that room, a Mormon, and came out a comedian. He's been a comedian ever since. He said the experience really has fucked him up. But
Well, at least it snapped him out of that, ridiculous
he absolutely hates the Mormon church.
Mormon
Well,
software that he was running.
We did have one interesting comment. Most people were like, "Oh, Mormon tripping balls. This sounds like an awesome podcast." But we had one particular comment, and it was very thought provoking. And it was like, it sounds like he actually enjoyed being a Mormon more, because ever since he came out of Mormonism, or whatever you call it, he's been less happy. He's had all these problems. I really had to think about that one for a while.
Yeah. And he's given up the life of multiple wives as well. That must bring him.
He only had one wife, but his wife ended up leaving him after. So like that was part of the thing of him not being as happy. His wife left him for an Eskimo, so he says. What else?
Damn, that's cold.
Yeah.
Get it?
He was living on his boat. He put a boat.
Yeah, he's living on a boat. He was basically homeless, but had a boat. No, he had a rough old time. He can't even, as a result of a trip, he can't really tell what's real and what's fake. Like he disassociates a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
That's a shame.
Someone did say that it sounds like he was happier as a Mormon. Really thought provoking. But offer religious freedom as long as it does not affect anyone else negatively. Like I could found a religion today saying chopping off heads. No, that doesn't fly. You're hurting someone else. If I said, okay, we're
Right.
going to worship flowers from now on, I think that's okay.
I like that. I
I'm a
like
big fan
nature.
of flowers. Yeah, nature's
I
cool.
like
Flowers are
nature.
cool, man.
Nature's
Yeah,
cool, man.
yeah. You guys got a bunch of green stuff going on in California. We also got fire. That must be
Yeah,
rough.
we do. We do. It's the land of fires, isn't it? It's crazy.
Mm,
Mm.
It's crazy how we were just talking about this the other day with my buddy. It was like he was like, the fires are all done, right? And I'm like, yeah, I suppose they're all done. It's like, yeah, you don't see them in the news anymore. Okay, he goes, that's kind of how the news cycles are. It's like disaster, and then it goes away, and we forget about it. Like this whole place was on fire like a month ago. We've already forgotten about it. We've already moved on to new disasters to hang our hooks on, our hooks
yeah.
of panic.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane. And I know I can't imagine how much damage was done, how much of the atmosphere was just ruined and we've already forgotten about it. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah,
Fucking
it's
nuts.
definitely weird. The States is crazy. But at the start of this podcast, I was all like, the States are crazy. I don't think I want to step foot there. But ever since doing this podcast and talking to so many Americans, it sounds more appealing because of the just pure craziness.
Yeah, well, I mean, we come by, check it out for yourself. Don't be a stranger. I think I think America would embrace you. I do. Yeah,
Well, they
yeah,
embraced a
absolutely.
lot of Irish people, so what's one more?
Why not? Absolutely, why
Yeah.
not?
But just to finish up this podcast, if people want to check out your awesome podcast, where can they find it?
Oh, well, you can find Weird AF News on any of your podcast listeners. It's on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google, anywhere you can listen to podcasts. It's even on YouTube. You can find Weird AF News. There's even a website if you can't find it. It's weirdafnews.com. And there's a bunch of links to places that you can listen to. You can listen to it right on the website if you want to. So
Awesome.
yeah, it's very easy to find. Weirdafnews.com.
So, just for anyone who hasn't heard it before, what do you talk about in the podcast?
I do 3 weird news stories from around the world, Monday through Friday. And on Friday, I only do weird news from the state of Florida. So Florida Friday happens every Friday. It's the most popular episode. It has twice as many downloads as the others because people just love Florida so much.
Yeah.
I think this is a show that can be enjoyed by just about anybody in the world that speaks English. Yeah, I think it really can. It's not. Most of the news is American. I would say over 50% of it
you had the
happens to be
Iceland
American.
thing.
Yeah, I do cover. I love to find stories from all around the world. It's just that most of the weird shit seems to be happening in America for some reason. I don't know why that is.
It's a
You
large
just-
population of English speakers, I guess.
Yeah, we're just like, we're just really fucked up, I think, or something. I don't know. Just like we have a lot of Walmarts, and therefore there's a lot of weird shit going on. But the weird news comes from all around the world. I love to cover, wherever I can find weird news. And we've been doing it. Well, I've been doing it for over 3 years now, and over 1 million downloads I've had, and it seems to be doing okay. I'm not gonna stop. It's the one thing I've continued to do during the pandemic is record my podcast inside my closet, which is where I record it. And so been gonna keep putting out episodes for as long as I can. I think and I always say it's a nice alternative to mainstream news, which is very depressing.
Yeah.
Weird news is like, it's funny. It's weird, funny stories, and I try to make them funny using a comedic spin. Or
Yeah,
sometimes my angry rants, which I've given you a taste of here.
I love it.
I
love
apologize. Sometimes my angry rants about the story just seem to be funny for some people.
I'm never
and,
talking about maple syrup with you ever again, sir.
Oh man, that's God. I'm so sorry about that.
No,
hope
I
you
love it. I love it
forgive
because
me.
you had a great point.
Yeah, I feel like, and I've never heard this said before, but like, that was, I feel very strongly about it. I just do. I'm so sorry, but people need to hear this, man. They need to hear this. Enough of hurting. Like, stop hurting everybody's feelings. Like, just be adults here, man. This is just, at the end of the day, just be an adult. You know, and unfortunately, the Americanization of the world is happening. That means we're just turning the rest of the world into a bunch of whiny children. It's fucking ridiculous.
A few years back, we had we had a big banker, and he said that Ireland should join with the United States. I've no idea why, but that's the point of how Americanized we are. We had a pretty high-ranking banker, not pretty, he was very high-ranking banker say, Ireland should try join the United States of America.
Oh man, I implore you guys, don't please have your own culture. That's what makes you guys amazing. That's what makes the other place. I don't want to go and visit other places in Europe and be like, I'm looking at Los Angeles here. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to go to Asia to get a different culture. Okay, I want to be able to go over to Ireland. I want to be able to go over to Scotland or Estonia. I want to go somewhere. Just and not see my culture over there too. Like, what the fuck, man?
It's hard. You guys have been involved with a lot of places.
I know. I know. I get it. I get it. Burger King and all the whole nine, and Subway restaurants. I get it. I get it. But shit, man. I would love to see more of a pullback from American culture worldwide rather than an embracing of American culture worldwide. I think variety is the spice of life, man. It's already bad enough. Every state, every city I drive through in my country is the same. I don't want to have that happen in the rest of the world when I go to other countries and continents as well. I think it's a disaster, and I think it's a damn shame.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Jonesy.
Your listeners must be like, wow, this guy is just an angry Bostonian just ranting away. I apologize.
No, it's been
please
great.
don't apologize.
You talk about some really real problems. So if you want to check them out, you know where to find them. And if you enjoyed this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell your grandma about the podcast, and take candy.
Hell yeah. That's great.